Hello and welcome to this India Today special broadcast with me, Shiv Arur. You've heard of Predator drones. You just saw those amazing images. The legendary unmanned aircraft that unleashes hell in some of the world's most dangerous places. Flying many thousands of feet high in the air, these American-built machines have acquired a rightful, fearsome reputation for the firepower they've brought to the fight against terror. But these won't just be American-operated for very long, as it turns out, because when Prime Minister Modi was in Washington recently, he managed to open a very crucial door to India acquiring the Predator. Gaurav Sawant was with the Prime Minister in the United States. This is his special exclusive report.
Mr. Speaker, the Prime Minister of the Republic of India.
The non-stop applause, the standing ovations,
India.
The history that Prime Minister Modi scripted in Washington DC this month managed to drown out a critical development that nobody has told you about. A deal that could change the game for India in an enormous way. When India's Prime Minister and President Obama shook hands over India's historic entry into an exclusive missile control club, the two leaders opened a major door for India.
Target verified.
We're clear to engage. Target destroyed.
What you're looking at is an aircraft with the world's most devastating reputation, the Predator drone.
Striker 4-0 on final.
Unmanned aircraft deployed by the United States military and the CIA to drop hell in parts of the world that are too dangerous to risk the lives of troops. With India now accepted into the exclusive missile technology control regime, India today has learned that the two countries will be moving forward to close a deal for Predator drones.
After Prime Minister Narendra Modi's meeting with the U.S. President Barack Obama, sources tell India today that New Delhi is in advanced stage of talks with Washington DC for the procurement of 150 Predator drones. Initially, the surveillance variety and subsequently the ones that have been used by the US in the AFPAC region. This, sources say, will prove to be a game changer in the region, especially after forward movement on the missile technology control regime.
Sources say the Indian Navy, which has enormous amounts of ocean to keep tabs on, is looking for at least 40 Predator XP drones that are capable of conducting high altitude and very long endurance surveillance missions over open ocean, remote controlled and optionally autonomous. These drones can literally be left to their devices. More significantly, the Indian Air Force has expressed interest in acquiring up to 100 Predator Sea combat drones, known as Avenger, capable of flying at much higher altitudes of 50,000 feet and deploying precision-guided Hellfire missiles and laser-guided bombs at designated targets. India's interest in the controversial drone has major implications in the region, but for now, India is pushing ahead on the Predator. With Gaurav Sawant in Washington DC and Shiv Arur in Delhi, Bureau Report, India Today.
Laser on.
A huge number of terrorists who would normally be very difficult to kill have met their violent ends in US drone strikes. Well, these controversial machines are sent into airspace no country would normally risk sending fighter pilots into. As India moves forward on acquiring Predator drones, here's a look at just why this machine has such a formidable reputation in the global fight against terror. Four big global terrorists, four men whose single focus was to spread global jihad, all met their end in precisely the same way. At the wrong end of a Predator hunter-killer drone and its deadly missiles. Soaring up to 50,000 feet above the world's terror bastions along the Afghanistan-Pakistan border, in Iraq and elsewhere.
These Predator drones are deadly, they're accurate and rain fire on terrorists from hundreds and thousands of miles away where they're piloted. In fact, the Predators are the future of air warfare. And perhaps that's the reason why the Indian Air Force is very keen to acquire these drones. This is the future of air warfare, and terrorists are scared of this death from the skies.
India sees Predators as the next level of air power. Unmanned aircraft that can be sent to do jobs for which piloted fighter jets are unthinkable. There is a control center here in Nevada. Many of the control centers in all parts of the United States. That's what a Predator control center and a command center actually looks like. It's pretty much like a video game. You've got people sitting there with joysticks, with keyboards, with command consoles, men and women both, who are part of the Predator force, who sit there and actually work with Predator drones. They've got these video monitors from which they can real-time monitor precisely what the Predator is actually looking at. From the command center there in Nevada, or many of the other command centers, the transmission signals for all of those instructions that are being conducted there are transferred to the Bagram Air Base, for instance, in Afghanistan, where Predator drones are actually based. And from there, these drones take off, armed with missiles, armed with sensors. They fly across the border into Pakistan, and that's where they unleash their missiles. But can India really compare itself to the United States? Can India really deploy Predator drones to rain hell on enemies across the border? With a multi-billion-dollar deal on the horizon for Predator drones, India's military planners certainly have a plan. With Gaurav Sawant in Washington, D.C., Shiv Arur in Delhi for India Today.
Targets destroyed.
The biggest question of all is, can India even think of using Predator drones against its own enemies? It's one thing for the United States to unleash these machines over Afghanistan and Pakistan, but what about India? Could India conceivably use Predator drones that it intends to buy to actually fire missiles, say, at terror camps in Pakistan-occupied Kashmir or elsewhere? Well, while that remains in the realm of future planning, India's interest in the Predator drone sends out a pretty clear signal to the world. And here in India, as you know, there's absolutely no shortage of troublesome targets those drones could potentially be used against. Jihad against India runs through their blood. Their single-minded focus, this country's destruction. Just a few kilometers across the line of control, terror camps like this one churn out jihad with impunity. Commanded and funded by Pakistan-sponsored masterminds who find safe havens in the country's big cities, the terror camps continue to operate without fear, with India virtually helpless to do anything about it. But could that all change very soon? With India's official interest in acquiring US-made Predator and Avenger drones, has India basically signaled to the world that it's ready to take the fight straight to the training camps?
Can India actually use the Predator drones the way the United States uses it in the Afghanistan-Pakistan region and routinely? The strategic community is divided. Some say it's high time India uses this low-cost option to take out the enemy and destroy enemy lines.
As Indians, we know that we're literally surrounded by trouble in virtually every direction. From 47 Pakistani terror camps in Pakistan-occupied Kashmir to terror havens that flourish in Bangladesh and militant safe houses deep in the forests across the border in Myanmar. But the big question, could India think of using Predator drones to unleash hell on these camps? But it isn't just about firing missiles. What India needs the drones much more for is to be constant eyes in the sky, robotic sensors that will let nothing pass. Let's never forget that the 10 terrorists who invaded Mumbai in 26/11 came quietly, undetected by sea from Pakistan. The Indian Navy hopes to use Predator drones for extended surveillance over ocean to keep tabs on every kind of threat, from terrorists to pirates to arms smugglers and even ships in distress. As India pursues a mega deal for Predator drones, the big signal is clear. India is looking to a future for air power that takes the stress off conventional fighter jets with humans too precious to send into hostile territory unless absolutely necessary. With Gaurav Sawant in Washington DC, Shiv Arur in Delhi for India Today. But why is India interested at all in the Predator drone at all? Why shouldn't India be trying to make its very own killer drones right here in the country? Well, we're now going to tell you that India does indeed have plans to raise its own fleet of Predators. In this report you're about to watch, we reveal to you the secretive drone programs that Indian scientists are currently working on, which when ready will give India a fleet of its very own futuristic unmanned combat aircraft, very much like the Predators. India is moving forward to acquire legendary American Predator drones for surveillance and precision strike. But if you thought India didn't have the capability to build its own, you're in for an eye-opener.
Striker 4-0 on final.
What you may not know is that India is significantly involved in creating its very own Predator-like drones right here in India. The most advanced project at this time is the Rustam II, a drone modelled on the American Predator. In these rare pictures accessed by India Today, you're looking at Indian military scientists testing the Rustam II ahead of a scheduled first flight later this year. The Rustam II is being developed to carry missiles very much like the Predator and fire them at targets.
All eyes on. Engage.
But the most secretive project is this one. The unusually shaped, stealthy and nearly invisible Aura. India's futuristic unmanned strike drone, currently at the very early stages of design and conceptualization. An Indian team in Bengaluru is working very hard to develop this unmanned aircraft and deploy it in the next decade. The Aura's unusual shape will allow it to penetrate deep into enemy airspace without being detected by radar, deploy its weapons and silently return. Also currently under development are more conventional mini Predators like the Indian Rustam I, a lightweight drone that will soon be in service. The drone will allow the military to conduct medium endurance surveillance over critical areas, including ocean. India says it needs American Predator drones because it needs the capability quickly, since its own projects still need time to mature and prove themselves fully in the combat role. But with significant Indian drones on the drawing board and on the flight line already, India's military has its focus set on the future of unmanned air power.
Target destroyed.
Bureau Report, India Today. Well, we hope you enjoyed that special broadcast. Thanks so much for watching. We're slipping into a very short...